Libbey Glass Company came to Toledo in 1888. It was actually originally the New England Glass Company in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it was owned by Mr. Libbey's father, William Libbey. The company was failing, and so Edward Drummond Libbey was looking for some way to save the company, and fortunately the city fathers of Toledo were looking for an industry to come to Toledo, so they offered Mr. Libbey some money and some land for a factory, and he brought his machinery and his workers here from Massachusetts, and they arrived in August 1888 and started then, and within a few years the name of the company changed to the Libbey Glass Company. In 1901, there was an artist club called the Tile Club, and they had this idea to start an art museum in Toledo, like they were happening in Detroit and happening in Chicago and Cleveland. So they thought Toledo needed one, and so they convinced Mr. Libbey to help them put together this new museum. So in 1912, Mr. Libbey and a lot of people from the city of Toledo donated money to build the museum that we know today on Monroe Street, and that property was actually property that Mrs. Libbey had been originally owned by her father, Maurice Scott. And so the land was given by Mr. Libbey. They took the money that they raised, about $500,000 I believe, and built the first part of the Toledo Museum of Art building. Let's say 2006, I believe, the foundation incorporated, and we began the effort to preserve the house.
Well, it's Toledo's only National Historic Landmark, so it's a registered National Historic Landmark, so it has historic relevance. The fact that the founder of Libbey Glass, and the fact that he was, as Barbara stated, such an important person in our history, and to have his home in the proximity still standing, which is kind of rare. It's in beautiful condition. It needs work. It needs still a lot of renovation. It's like this old house, you know, it's a money pit, but it's well worth preserving. I mean, he is an important person in our history, and his home, as he built for himself and his wife, should be kept, and that's our goal.
I believe Edward Drummond Libbey is the most important person we've had in our 175 years as a city. He not only created the economic base for the city by bringing the glass industry to Toledo, but he gave millions of dollars back to the community. He founded the Toledo Museum of Art. He contributed to the Toledo Public Schools. Upon his death, he left a huge endowment, which today continues to support a lot of social service agencies in Toledo that you probably don't even know, as well as provide money to purchase works of art for the Toledo Museum of Art. That endowment continues today because of the generosity of Mr. and Mrs. Libbey to the city of Toledo.